The story begins with a man named Russell. Russell is no ordinary man. He is the world's most cunning thief, and today he is about to rob a very large bank. Russell is accompanied by 3 accomplices, and the 4 of them stop their van in front of a bank in New York. To execute the robbery perfectly, they enter the bank wearing janitor suits so that no one suspects them. For the people inside the bank, it was an ordinary day. They couldn't have imagined that robbers were hiding in the janitor's suits. Then Russell takes out a flashlight and shines the light on the cameras, disabling them one by one. As soon as all the cameras are off, they put on masks, pull out their guns, and release smoke inside the bank, causing chaos. However, the 4 of them, at gunpoint, force everyone to lie down on the ground, taking them hostage. Now, they had complete control of the bank. But some smoke escapes from the bank's entrance. A security guard sees the smoke and approaches the bank. Just as the security guard is about to enter, Russell points his gun at him from the doorway and says that they have taken many people hostage inside. He warns that if the police try to enter, they will kill the hostages one by one. Saying this, Russell closes the door. The security guard then informs the other police officers that some thieves have broken into the bank and that a police team should be sent there. This news spreads like wildfire throughout the city, and soon a large police team arrives. They surround the bank but cannot enter because of the threat from the robbers that if even one police officer tries to enter the bank, they will kill the hostages one by one. Meanwhile, inside the bank, we see Russell and his 3 accomplices lining up everyone present and taking their mobile phones one by one. However, they don't find the bank manager's phone. When Russell asks him where his phone is, the manager says he left it at home. Russell warns him that if he's hidden his phone, he should tell him, and if he finds it, he'll beat him so badly that he won't be able to stand again. But the manager insists that he forgot his phone at home. Russell doesn't believe him, so he searches through the phones he's collected from the other people, finds the manager's number, and calls it. The manager's phone, which he had thrown behind the door, starts ringing. This enrages Russell, who drags the manager into a room and brutally beats him. Everyone outside is terrified, and they all understand that anyone who tries to be clever will suffer the same fate as the bank manager. Meanwhile, we see Detective Keith at the police station. The detective is a very honest man, but at this moment, he's very worried because $150,000 that was seized from a smuggler a few days ago has disappeared, and Detective Keith is being blamed for it. Just then, his senior officer arrives and tells him about a bank robbery. Hearing this, the detective thinks this is a good opportunity for a promotion, and if he solves this case, the accusation regarding the $150,000 might also be dropped. So, the foreign detective arrives outside the bank. On the other hand, the news also reaches the bank owner, Arthur. Arthur was a very rich and powerful man. So, when Arthur learned that his bank had been robbed, he didn't seem bothered at all. This shows us that Arthur doesn't care about money. Arthur calmly asked his assistant which branch the robbery took place in. His assistant replied that the robbery occurred at the Wall Street branch. Hearing this, Arthur's face turned pale. This suggests that there must be something in that branch that is very important to Arthur. After this, the bank owner immediately meets a woman. This woman's name is Madeline. Madeline is a very sharp-minded woman who could easily manipulate people into doing her bidding, and she charged money for this service. The bank owner, Arthur, tells Madeline that she will get all the money she wants, but she has to do a job for him. He tells Madeline that in the vault of the bank that was robbed, he has a safe deposit box, box number 392. This box contains very valuable items that he doesn't want to lose at any cost, and he doesn't want what's inside to fall into anyone else's hands. Arthur tells Madeline, "I know you're very clever, and you've easily solved difficult problems for many wealthy people, and I want you to go to this bank and bring me what's in safe deposit box number 392 without anyone else touching it." Before accepting the deal, Madeline asks, "Will I be in any danger after I deliver what's in this box to you?" To which Arthur replies, "No, what's in this box is from before you were even born, and it won't harm anyone except me." Arthur says that if those things were to come to light, he would have to face the world's questions. Hearing this, Madeline understands that Arthur must have wronged some people many years ago. On the other hand, we see the scene inside the bank, where the 4 robbers are busy with their plan. One of these robbers is a woman, and they call each other Steve, Stevie, and Stevo, so that their real names remain unknown. The robbers separate the men and women into different lines. Then Russell tells everyone to take off their clothes and gives them identical outfits, telling them to put them on quickly. Russell also gives everyone masks, and then the four robbers also put on the same clothes as the others. Now everyone inside the bank was wearing the same clothes. Russell does this so that if the police arrive, they will be confused about who is a robber and who is an ordinary person. After this, Russell and his companions get to work and go to a storeroom. Looking at the storeroom, Russell says that this place is absolutely perfect. This suggests that he was looking for just such a place, and then they begin digging there. Meanwhile, outside, the detective gets to work catching the robbers and starts checking the bank's CCTV cameras from the control room. However, the robbers have turned off all the bank's cameras, leaving the detective clueless about what's happening inside. Just then, the robbers release a man from inside the bank. This man works at the bank. His hands are tied, his eyes are blindfolded, and a suitcase is hanging around his neck. When the police remove the blindfold, they see his long beard, which frightens them. The police ask the man if there's a bomb in the suitcase, to which he replies, no. The police then take the suitcase from his neck and open it. Upon opening the suitcase, they find a message. The message states that they need 2 buses and a jet plane with a pilot by 9 p.m., and the fuel tanks must be full. If their demands are not met, they will kill 1 person every hour after 9 p.m. in front of the cameras, and the police will be responsible. Meanwhile, inside the bank, we see that all the hostages in the basement are locked in a room. Among these hostages is a young man who takes off his mask. He says that he's suffocating in the mask, and that it's better to die by a bullet than to die wearing the mask. He says they were all given similar clothes, so that if the police came in, they would kill them instead of the robbers. After this, the young man starts shouting. Although everyone tries to stop him, he doesn't listen to anyone. Hearing the noise, Russell comes over, drags the boy into another room, and beats him severely. Outside, in the control room, the detective is very worried and doesn't know how to catch the robbers. Just then, Russell sends a message to the police saying that everyone inside is hungry and they should send food. The detective is relieved and gets an idea. Why not hide a microchip in the food so they can listen to the robbers' conversations? The detective decides to send pizza and fit a transmitter into the pizza box so they can eavesdrop. He chooses pizza because everyone will have to gather to eat it, and when they're together, they can easily listen to their conversations. The police then send the pizza inside. After sending the pizza, the detective and his colleagues sit in the control room with headphones on, eagerly waiting to hear the robbers' recording. Suddenly, they hear the recording, but they can't understand the robbers' conversation because they are speaking in a different language, and the police don't know what language it is. Since they can't understand the language, the detective decides to ask for help from the people outside to identify it. The recording is then played over the loudspeaker. A woman in the crowd says she recognizes the language. She is brought into the control room. After listening to the entire recording, the woman bursts into laughter and says she knows who the man is and what he's saying. The detective is happy to hear this and asks her who the man is. She explains that it's the former president of Albania, who is now deceased. It's an old recorded speech of his. This means the robbers inside knew that there were transmitters hidden inside the pizza boxes. That's why they played a recorded tape in front of the transmitters and fooled the police. Meanwhile, Madeline approaches the mayor of New York. Madeline, a very cunning woman, had the mayor under her thumb because she possessed some secret of his. Therefore, Madeline arrives with the mayor in a car to meet the detective. The mayor tells the detective that Madeline is a very capable woman. If he lets her talk to the leader of the robbers, Madeline can make his job easier, but the detective doesn't want anyone's help. Madeline then tells him that he could get a promotion. The detective replies that if he's capable, he'll get a promotion on his own. Then Madeline says, "But what about the case against you? The one where $10 went missing?" Here, Madeline tells the detective that if he lets her talk to the robbers, she will make the $500,000 case against him disappear forever. Hearing this, the detective agrees to let Madeline talk to the robbers. Now, the detective calls the bank's number, and Russell answers the call. The detective then hands the phone to Madeline, and Madeline tells Russell, "I can help you. Why are you doing all this?" Russell says, "For the money." Then Madeline tells him, "I can get you more money than you could ever steal from the bank." Madeline says, "I'm neither a police officer, nor do I want to ruin your plan. I just need to retrieve some items from a safety deposit box inside the bank." Russell agrees and allows Madeline to come inside. A short time later, Russell and Madeline are face to face. Madeline tells Russell, "You know very well that you can't escape from here at any cost. Surrender." I promise you'll get a lighter sentence, and when you get out, you'll be given $2 million. But in return, let me into the bank right now. I need to retrieve some items from a locker. Russell asks, which locker? You're not talking about locker number 392, are you? Hearing this, Madeline becomes nervous. Then Russell says,
Why don't you just tell me why you're here?
Madeline says she can't tell him. Russell says, I'll tell you. Let me tell you a story. During World War II, an American worked in a bank in Switzerland. That man had very good relations with Nazi soldiers. That man betrayed his country and earned a lot of money by shedding the blood of innocent people. And with that money, he is now living a very luxurious life. But now I have evidence against that man. Russell takes out some documents and says, I got this evidence from the same locker you want to access, but I cannot give you these documents at any cost. Because if I get caught after leaving here, I will have to get the person who sent you here released at all costs. Otherwise, I will expose his truth to the whole world. Now Madeline understands that Russell is very cunning and will not give her the documents under any circumstances. So Madeline comes out. As soon as she comes out, the detective asks her what the robbers said to her. But Madeline doesn't tell the detective anything. Inside the bank, it's shown that all the people are locked in different rooms. Then a girl named Stevie comes with the robbers. She goes into a room and takes 4 people from there. She locks those 4 people in a separate cabin. After coming out, Stevie herself starts shouting. Her partner then makes Stevie sit with those 4 people in the same place where Stevie had just locked them up. These people deliberately mix themselves in with the hostages, and the hostages present there don't even realize who the robbers are and who the hostages are. Russell had planned everything perfectly beforehand. Now the hole they were digging is also complete. Meanwhile, the detective is sitting outside, worried, and doesn't understand what his next step should be. The time the robbers had given them, that they needed 2 buses and a helicopter by 9, has also passed. Just then, the detective receives a call from Russell. Russell engages him in a relevant conversation and asks riddles. The detective understands that he is trying to distract them. The detective tells his fellow police officers that they gave them a deadline, but they didn't fulfill their demands. After that, they gave them more time. This means the robbers are wasting their time. Therefore, they need to take action quickly. After this, the detective calls Russell on the bank's number. He lies to Russell, saying that they have made all the arrangements he requested. But before that, he wants to come inside. He wants to see if they have killed anyone. Russell agrees and allows him to come inside. When the detective goes inside the bank, he sees Russell's master plan. He notices that everyone is wearing the same clothes, making it difficult to distinguish between the thieves and the hostages. When Russell enters the last room, he finds 3 people there. None of them are wearing masks, and they look very frightened. Russell says that these are the ones who refuse to cooperate. Once the detective confirms that everyone is safe, Russell escorts him to the door. A conversation ensues between them. The detective asks Russell why he doesn't leave with him. Russell replies that his work isn't finished yet, and he promises to leave through the same gate when he's done. Then Russell asks the detective if he has any other wishes. The detective jokingly says that his wish is to marry his girlfriend, but he doesn't have the money. While they are talking, the detective suddenly kicks Russell hard, sending him tumbling down the stairs. Just as the detective is about to remove Russell's mask, Russell's partner arrives, armed with a gun, and holds the detective at gunpoint. However, they don't harm the detective and let him go. After coming out, the detective realizes their plan is very strong. Russell is a very clever man. He has made a very elaborate plan, and these people are playing us. They know everything we are up to. Because Russell had told the detective, I know that according to the law, the police cannot come in and attack us unless we kill any of the hostages. Now, enraged by the detective's kick, Russell takes a man to the roof and shoots him in front of the camera. This changes the entire atmosphere, and the detective says that the robbers have made a mistake. The detective decides to send a police team inside, and then the police team begins preparing to enter the bank. But then the detective realizes that the leader of the robbers is very clever and cannot make such a mistake. Who knows? There may be some kind of planning behind shooting that man, and he may already know our every move. Thinking about this, he remembers the bearded man they released first, the one they hung the message around. Perhaps there's something inside that box, and when he opens it, he finds a transmitter. This means the robbers were listening to their conversations through that transmitter and also know how the police are going to attack them. Realizing this, the detective quickly speaks to the head of the police team that is about to enter the bank. The detective explains to him that the robbers know about their plan. They may have already planted a bomb for them, so they should come back. But the officer refuses to come back, saying, "I will take control of everything." This means he will attack them now, and Russell and his 3 men inside know they are about to be attacked. But before the police could enter, Russell quickly lit a smoke inside the bank and ordered all the hostages to flee. One by one, they all ran out of the bank. Everyone was wearing similar clothing, leaving the police confused and unsure of whom to shoot. The police then surrounded everyone, made them lie down on the ground, tied their hands and feet, and a team entered the bank. Inside, the police searched every corner of the bank, but they found no trace of the robbers, as they had blended in with the hostages and escaped. Surprisingly, Russell's 3 companions came out with the hostages, but Russell was not among them, and no one knew where Russell was. Russell had suddenly vanished like a ghost. The biggest problem for the police here is that they can't identify the thieves among these people because they're all wearing similar clothes. However, they're all captured and taken on a bus for investigation. When the police reach the bank vault, they're stunned to see that Roberts didn't take a single penny with him, and all the money in the bank is lying there intact. Furthermore, the weapons he carried were fake, making it impossible to kill anyone. Then, the police find the red-dyed cloth, the man who was shot on the roof. In reality, no one was shot. It was just a pretense. The police search every inch of the bank but find nothing, not even the hole the robbers had been digging from the beginning. The detective couldn't understand why the thieves broke into the bank. They didn't steal anything and suddenly vanished like ghosts. The police only knew that among the people outside were the 3 robbers who had held everyone hostage. But the detective was certain that Russell, the mastermind behind the plan, wasn't among them, because the detective had recognized Russell's height, build, and voice, and if he had been there, the detective would have recognized him. Russell had planned everything so perfectly that the police couldn't catch anyone, even though they knew everything. You'll remember the moment in the story when a boy among the hostages takes off his mask, and then Russell appears. Russell drags him into another room and beats him severely. In reality, none of that happened. He was one of the 4 robbers, and he deliberately took off his mask in front of everyone so that people would believe he was one of the hostages. Now, when the police are investigating, they suspect this boy, but the police have no evidence. In fact, a girl testifies that this boy was with them and that they were going to get into trouble because he took off his mask, after which the robbers beat him up. After hearing all this, the police released the boy. Now, there was also a girl with these robbers, whom they called Stevie, and you'll remember that Stevie locked 4 people in a room and then came out and started screaming and making a scene. After that, Russell also places Stevie among the hostages, and now those 4 hostages testify that she was also with them. Stevie answers the police with great confidence, thus diverting their suspicion away from herself. And their 3rd accomplice was seen by the detective himself sitting among the hostages. When the detective went inside the bank, Russell eventually led him into a room. Inside the room were 3 men without masks. These 3 were actually the robbers, and they were deliberately shown without masks to convince the detective that they were hostages. The detective himself had seen this 3rd man in the guise of a hostage. Therefore, the detective lets this 3rd robber go as well. A short time later, the detective's superior arrives, and the detective tells him that it was all a perfect plan. The robbers had planned everything perfectly from beginning to end. Therefore, there was nothing they could do. The captain says that they have to close the case now because no one was killed, not a single penny was stolen, and no one has filed a report to have the case solved, so they shouldn't waste their time. But the detective didn't want to close the case so easily, and he continues to investigate to uncover the truth. While examining the bank's documents, he discovers that all the lockers are present except for locker number 392. There is no record of it. This makes the detective suspicious, and he suspects that there must have been something valuable in that locker that the robbers stole. This was the reason the robbers left behind a large sum of money and only stole the valuable items from that particular locker. On the other hand, we see Arthur, the bank owner, to whom Madeline comes and tells him that the documents he needed were taken by the robbers. She says the robbers took the documents so that if they ever get caught in the future, they can use them to blackmail him into getting them released. Madeline says, "I'm not that stupid. There was something else in that locker besides those papers. Otherwise, they wouldn't have taken such a big risk, and I know you had a lot of diamonds there." In fact, there were very valuable diamonds inside that locker. That's why the robbers took all the diamonds and didn't touch the money. Arthur says that along with those diamonds, there was also a very valuable ring that belonged to the wife of a very wealthy Parisian banker, and that banker was his friend. During World War II, their entire family was taken captive, He says he could have saved them, but the Nazi soldiers gave him a lot of money, so he didn't. Finally, Arthur gives Madeline a check and tells her that no one outside should know anything about what he told her, and Madeline takes the check and leaves. Days pass, and we are shown a scene a week later where we see that Russell is still in the same bank. You might remember the moment when Russell enters a storeroom and says that this place is perfect. This is the same storeroom. In fact, Russell and his men had shifted the shelves at the back forward and arranged them exactly as they were before. Russell had been hiding there for the past week, and the hole they dug was so that Russell wouldn't have to go outside to use the restroom. After a week passed in this manner, Russell puts all the stolen diamonds from the locker into a bag and starts to leave the bank. Just as he is leaving, the detective is entering the bank. However, Russell is aware of this because his men waiting outside had informed him of the detective's arrival. As Russell passes the detective, he deliberately bumps into him. The detective doesn't recognize Russell, and just as Russell had promised the detective that he would walk out through the main gate right in front of him, Russell does exactly that. In this way, they execute a perfect bank robbery with no theft reported, no one caught, and they become millionaires because they stole diamonds that were never officially recorded. On the other hand, the detective reaches the bank's safe deposit boxes and opens locker number 392, which belongs to the bank owner. After opening the locker, the detective finds a piece of chewing gum and a very valuable ring. Seeing this, the detective understands that the robbers had already opened this locker before him, and this is the same ring that Arthur had told Madeline about. The robbers had also left a message for the detective in the same locker, which read, "Follow the ring." The detective understands that this ring was left for him by the sharp-minded thief, and that the thief wants the detective to expose the truth to the public. Following this, the detective goes directly to the bank owner, Arthur, and asks him what was stolen from his bank. Arthur replies that nothing was stolen. Then the detective takes out the ring and tells Arthur that he will soon reveal the truth to the world. The detective then leaves and goes straight to Madeline's place, where the mayor is also present. Madeline congratulates the detective, saying that the $500,000 charge against him has been dropped. The detective is happy to hear this. However, the detective knew that both of them were just as deceitful as Arthur. So, the detective gives them the number for the U.S. War Crimes Department and tells them that they must file a case against Arthur, claiming that he enriched himself by shedding the blood of innocent people during World War II. He warns them that if they don't expose this truth to the world, he will expose them both for being involved with Arthur in the bank robbery case. After this, the detective goes home, where his girlfriend is waiting for him. As he reaches into his coat pocket to take out his belongings, he finds a small diamond. At first, the detective doesn't understand how it got into his pocket, but then he remembers that a man bumped into him as he was entering the bank, and that man must have put the diamond in his pocket. That man was none other than the mastermind of the bank robbery. Russell had put the diamond in his pocket for two reasons. One reason was to fulfill the promise he made to the detective that he would walk out the front gate, and the other reason was that when the detective met Russell inside the bank, the detective had told Russell that he wanted to marry his girlfriend, but didn't have the money. Now, the detective smiles as he looks at the diamond, and with that, the story ends. If you like this video, please subscribe to our channel and like the video.